Going on. I'm Ken Doxey, Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, and I love this workshop in part because I turned 60, and turning 60 to me meant, man, you know, when I think about what happens next, it's not just abstract thinking. I can actually think about this and it's appropriate. So this is kind of a fun workshop. Various people here for different reasons, some as department heads, learning for their colleagues, some as people thinking for themselves, and others for various other reasons. I usually have people introduce themselves, but given the topic, I decide not to for this one, so you can be anonymous if you want, or announce your presence if you want as well. And we won't tell you or anybody else that you were here. Gretchen Drew is recording us so that you can watch this online later if you like. And Linda Adkins greeted you at the door. Thank you, Gretchen and Linda. Please feel free to get up and grab additional food and beverages as we speak. I have a little thing going where I like to see how long it takes somebody to eat the duck cookie. And usually it never goes at all, but you can prove me wrong today if you want the duck. Jen Mirabili is here also, and she's going to join me. I'm going to talk just not too long, I hope, about the basics and an overview of the Tenure Reduction Program. And then Jen is here to answer probably all of your questions about the details. This used to be the Ken and Ernie show, those of you that know Ernie Pressman. Ernie Pressman presented issues about retirement one too many times and decided to retire. So Jen is ably replacing him. So again, I'll give an overview, just some basic information. This will be most of the time I spend, and I'll just show you links for the various pieces of paper that are filled out and talk a few minutes about some of the issues that arise, but again, then Jen will be here to talk about most of those issues. To be eligible for this, I guess this is reasonably obvious, but you need to have tenure to retire from your tenured position. And it's expected that you'll be retiring within the next 3 years as you enter this program. In fact, it's required after you enter the program to retire within 3 years thereafter. Collective bargaining agreement has a little information about this. If you're not a member of the bargaining unit, it's okay. It still has useful information about it, but I'll give you everything you need to know here as well today. And these slides will be available, so if you don't write down all the links, it's okay. You'll be able to see them. I'm going to come back to this chart several times. It's kind of the graphic of the day, and I'll highlight the different pieces as we go through from entering the Tenure Reduction Program to leaving the Tenure Reduction Program as a fully retired former faculty member. The details will be here in each of them, but I'm going to go through the details on following slides as well, so I won't try to talk you through the tiny print on this slide. But we start with you applying for and being granted entry to the Tenure Reduction Program. When that happens, several things happen. One is you have an adjustment of 6% to your base salary. That's a one-time increase. It's effective based on the timelines that you'll establish as you work with your department head and dean. I used to, when I'd present this workshop, feel that I was showing something dishonest. Why would you get a raise just before you're retiring? Well, we know what retirement incentive programs are for, right? At least in the abstract. They are in recognition of the fact that at some point we think about retiring. We're not sure we're financially able to retire. This provides a little bit of an opportunity to think that you're better off than you thought you were. And when you retire, you will be replaced by someone who probably will earn less money than you, so we can afford to pay you a little bit more to help you find a gracious way to move on. After you enter this program and you get your 6% increase, then the dean announces a 10% across the board increase for all the faculty, and they say, well, I guess I should have retired next year instead, or entered the program next year. Not a problem. You are eligible for any merit increases. You'll continue to be evaluated as you're in the TRP period, and any across the board increases. So you're protected from feeling you made a mistake. As I said, you have a maximum of 3 years in this tenure reduction period by which, at the end of which you have to retire. You may contract earlier. You may say, I only want to be working for 2 more years and then retire. It could be even less than that. 3 years is kind of nice because at least one of the many retirement calculations that Jen will probably not get into the weeds for today looks at your 3 highest years of salary. Okay. But maybe you don't want to wait that long. That's okay too. Maybe you enter in for 3 years and then something happens. I had a colleague who had his health changed considerably, and 3 years wasn't going to be the right length of time anymore. That's not a problem. We can work with earlier retirement, even if you've entered in thinking it's going to be for 3 years. Okay, and maybe I should have read some of the small print. I'll do it here. So the 6% salary increase. Once that happens, it's still business as usual. You're a full-time tenured faculty member with expected research, teaching, and service obligations. You continue to be, in my former version of the slide, till Jen and her colleagues made it look better and more accurate, said business as usual. Okay. The only thing that's different is that you got a raise and you sign an agreement saying in 3 years I'm kind of out of here. Okay. Then we hit the end of that period of time. Now you have to retire. At this point, you can apply for PERS or other benefits. I guess you couldn't tell Social Security you're retired as well. That doesn't seem right. Especially since it happened when I wasn't moving. We'll see what happens. Okay. You don't have to apply for those benefits at that point. And again, I'll have some slides that talk a little more about retirement ages and things like that, and Jen will get a little more maybe into that. But the best thing to do is sit down and talk with them is probably going to be one of your takeaway lessons from today. So you may apply at this point. You may apply at any point thereafter as well. Okay. Once you've retired, well, then what happens? Well, you're not done with us yet because you'll have signed an agreement that explains what you're going to be doing next for us. So you've now entered the formal reduction period. This was business as usual. Now you're retired, but you have the opportunity to take on, in fact, the expectation that you'll take on post-retirement appointments that are limited in nature. You can take on, and I'll talk about what this appointment might look like, but you can have no more than 5 tenure reduction period appointments following that retirement. And all of those have to happen within 5 years after that formal retirement. Okay, so again, let's say you're on the full 3-year period. Here you say, I'm going to retire in 3 years. 6% salary increase, normal activities. In 3 years, you retire. You decide whether or not you're applying for PERS and Social Security, or you're going to wait for longer on that, and you enter this post-retirement period, which we'll now talk about. I've already said this, maximum 5 appointments over up to 5 years. 1 appointment is for instructional folks, and that is most of our TRP people, but not all, is 2 courses, okay, either taught all in 1 term, in which case you're 1 term at 1.0 FTE, or 1 course per term for 2 terms at 0.5 FTE. But so 1 appointment is 2 courses. And if you're an hour counter, and a lot of us have been around long enough, we heard the 600 hours deal and things like that. Don't count hours. Okay, it's easier to count appointments. But I put this up in case you want to ask Jen hard questions. There are implications to choosing one of these or the other, particularly with regards to insurance and other benefits. If you're working 1 term with 2 courses, there's 2 terms when you're not working. If you work 2 terms at 1 course each, then there's only 1 of the regular terms when you're not working. There are even implications as to which 2 terms you might want to work, fall or winter, fall or spring, winter or spring. Again, Jen is here for all the details. You have to make those appointments within the period of time we stated. Generally, that's 5 years. It doesn't have to be 5 years. You could agree to shorter. I'm not quite sure why you would. If you don't use the appointments within the period of time, I think I've got another slide that will show that, then you ran out of time. Sorry. if you are not full retirement age for Social Security, and blue wasn't a good choice of color, but you can go online and find a Social Security age calculator to find out when you are eligible for full Social Security benefits. If you retire before that time, you can work quite a bit in addition to what you're doing for the university and not jeopardize your Social Security. Okay. And if you retire at full retirement age for Social Security, you can work all you want. Also, there's no limit if you're not in PERS, which would basically mean, I think, if you were hired after 1996, and is this the right acronym? I was looking at it just before I came in. OEP? I don't think so. ORP.
Optional Retirement Plan.
Yes, thank you. So that's a typo we'll fix before we put this up. So before 1996, you were in PERS. After that, you had the choice of what to engage in. Most of us are probably in PERS, right? Or if you haven't applied yet for distribution from PERS, so here's, yes, okay, you retired, but you didn't tell PERS to start paying me, then you're not limited in the additional work you might do. And I keep looking at Jen because she knows all this better than I do. After that period of time, either your 5 appointments or your 5 years, or both if you plan things properly, then you're done, although we don't really want you to be done. I put just 2 things in the box here, but we can think of lots more. I serve on the Emeritus Committee as an ex officio member. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get that committee to be staffed. I think the people who arrange for staffing your committees have been very busy, and this one, for whatever reason, hasn't been high priority, but I think it should be. Our emeritus faculty are important to us. They represent a community of scholars. I would like for this community or this committee to engage in a notion of maintaining our opportunity to have that community of scholars. I've collected some paperwork about things called emeritus colleges that some campuses have developed. Informal opportunities for us when we retire from our faculty positions to have a home to come to on campus where maybe we just have lunch together, maybe we bring in speakers, maybe we engage on campus, whatever it might be. I'd love for us as a campus, particularly aging members or retiring members of the campus, to think about how we might make this a place we still like to come. Okay? We get parking and library privileges and things like that. Why not have more than, and actually have a sense of continuing community as well? Okay. One thing we can't do when we're formally retired is say, well, you don't need to pay me, I'll teach. There have been times when we could do that in an environment where we have new procedures, new policies, new practices about employment and how it's compensated. We really can't do that anymore. Okay? And I'm not the right person to ask for details about that, but don't assume that you'll keep doing pickup work. This doesn't mean there aren't other opportunities for you to remain engaged with the university. The application form, I played around a long time and I decided at least to strip it down and then tilt it so you really can't read it. You don't need to see the application form. It's simple. I think you fill it out online. There is one for pretty much everybody and a separate application online for law school. I guess that's because they're on semesters and it changes too much terminology to try to have a single application for both. So you fill that out. A letter of agreement is generated. It's pretty much boilerplate. It starts out like that and goes on for a couple pages. And then there's a signing agreement, if you will, an addendum that contains the details of what your post-retirement, TRP period assignments are going to be. You know, we'll be teaching 2 courses every fall term for the next 5 years, or whatever it might be, is established in this. There's a general form. CAS has its own form for the addendum, and the law school also has their own form. A little more detail. Is my volume? You turned me down. Okay, thank you. A little more detail about the assignments that you might have. Again, traditionally, this was limited to teaching, and not just teaching, but teaching credit-bearing courses. Okay. That definition of what a TRP assignment looks like has evolved through the past number of years. So now it includes credit-bearing courses in Portland. I would hope so. That's part of our campus. And under this traditional teaching-focused model, I already talked through this, whether it's two courses constituting a single TRP assignment. And we assume continuing contributions to scholarship and service. Those teaching assignments don't have to be in your home department, but you need everybody to agree to what those teaching assignments will be. So that can be arranged with approval of the departments and the dean or deans that are involved with those departments. That's a technical detail. These are in-load assignments as opposed to overloads. I'm not quite sure how you get to overload when you were teaching 1 or 2 courses a year, but maybe someone is better at math than me. Just as a holdover, Jen, can you explain what that means? External support returns to the school or college, or should I just delete that from the next time I do this?
It might be about, well, I know there's some information about, is that ASA money? I'm not sure what that one's about.
I don't think it's ASA. Maybe this is people who are supported through teaching grants or fellowships or something, and I think it just means that finances work as usual during this period of time. What if you sign up for a TRP course, you're going to teach winter term and nobody signs up, or 1 or 2 students signed up? That's going to be something. We don't have an official policy at present about course cancellations due to low enrollments, although you might be able to find a policy in the former OUS policies. But what happens in that case is going to be a matter for the department and the dean to figure out. That Johnson Hall doesn't work at that level of detail on these retirement programs. We've extended TRP assignments more broadly, although again, mostly they are focused on continued teaching. There are other opportunities. The deans are in the position to determine, in consultation with the retiree, of course, what that assignment will look like. So we've approved administrative assignments. It does require approval from Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, however. We have approved teaching in non-credit-bearing courses or programs. It's not routine, but it can be requested and is in everything in a university or in life. Maybe if you make a good case, you'll probably be successful. Study abroad programs. I see this and I start thinking about future for me. That would be an interesting assignment. I wouldn't mind thinking about some of those. So those are on the table as well. Programs that are fee-based rather than credit-bearing. All of these things are options. Discuss them with your department head or unit head, with your dean. Again, getting a little bit redundant, but these are important things. The maximum of these 5 appointments over the 5-year period. If your 5 years runs out and you forgot to do 1 or 2 of your TRPs, your period of time is over, you are done. These appointments don't have to be 1 a year for 5 years. Okay. You could have a couple up front and then take a couple years off and then fill out the final few later. Any arrangement that works. I sometimes have a hard time thinking about what non-routine sort of arrangement of assignments would be effective, but who am I to predict what might work for you? So these are all possibilities. Okay? Each of those decisions comes with implications about what your benefits look like, and that's something that cannot be handled in a group basis. It requires a one-on-one consultation. When you are back, so you've retired, but you're back doing a TRP, teaching or administrative assignment, whatever it might be, you are an active faculty member during that period of time. We have internal governance policies, I know because we went through a long and withdrawn process of reviewing and approving those, that define faculty rights within academic units. You have full rights in accord with that policy when you're on active service. That probably involves participation in discussions and votes, including promotion and tenure decisions, searches, and so on. The final few things. Once you retire, we don't want to do this, but you know we're tight for space. It's possible that you will be asked to move to a different office or to share an office. I want to be clear when that happens, so I turned this sideways so it would fit. It's not when you say, I want to enter the TRP and you've got 3 years of business as usual. It's not business as usual to be kicked out of your office. Okay. It's when the end of that 3-year period hits and you do the formal retirement, you'll be coming back periodically to do your TRP assignments. But it won't surprise me if you don't spend as much time in your office as you used to. So given scarcity of space, it's possible that we'll have to ask you to move someplace else or to have someone else move in with you. Okay. That's done with tact and diplomacy, I believe, and we're not going to make you share an office with your worst enemy, I'm sure. Okay. You're not eligible for ASA funds once you're retired. You chose to come here. This is your decision. Again, some of you are learning about this to help your colleagues. Don't feel you learned enough to tell them they have to start the TRP. This is a very personal decision when to retire. There's no official retirement age. That's an ancient thing that doesn't exist anymore. So you're the one who decides when you're thinking that you want to start doing something different. Okay. And a last point. Again, most of these assignments are teaching related. If you have a track record of not paying as much attention to your teaching as you should, okay, which I'm saying to be nice, but if for whatever reason you've been quite unsuccessful in your teaching, you can't assume that your TRP will be accepted to move you into teaching related position. Okay, so this is an opportunity, not a right, to enter this program. I am not aware of people being turned down for entry to the program, but we can't assign you to something that would, on the surface, seem very inappropriate to assign you to. Okay? Again, I haven't seen that happen, but I just need to put it on the table. And with that, if there are any kind of short-term questions, I'm happy to take them now, but otherwise I want to turn this over to Jen to dive a little deeper into the details of what this looks like.
I'm going to come up because I think if we do have TRP questions, we should probably talk about them now. My presentation is a little bit more about retirement because I'm kind of the substitute for Cindy Peterson, who is our benefit. You. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks. And you could repeat any questions.
Okay. So if we have any TRP questions, and I'll answer them as we go through the retirement part of the presentation as well, but one of the things I wanted to bring up was Cindy Peterson is our benefits manager, and I did have discussions with her, and it became apparent that you do get longer coverage of benefits if you work the fall term and the spring term. So that's just something, if it's possible to do that, that's great. If it doesn't work for your department head, it may not be possible. But that's one of the considerations you'll need to think about when you actually start your TRP program.
You're on camera here, and the reason for that is that the fall term starts the middle of the month, but you get benefit coverage for the entire month. Right. Winter term is January, February, March.
That's right. So it's just a kind of, Ernie used to say, what are the hints? That's a hint that we can give you that would be beneficial as far as your expenses for your health care. So, and...
It doesn't ensure that you're covered in the summer. It's only that month.
I believe it's a little bit longer. Let's see, September, October, November, December. So I know one is 4 and the other is actually, I think, spring, March, April, May, June. I think one of them is 5 for whatever reason. But you know what I did? Oh, I'm sorry.
No matter what you do, you're not covered in July and August.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a mistaken bit of information someone had given me.
Okay. I actually brought Cindy's business cards and mine as well, if you want to pick one up, because I do recommend that if you have really specific questions about benefits, that you talk with Cindy about it. So can we go to my slides? Oh, I thought they were up there. Thanks. That's okay. So my position in human resources is Senior Human Resource Programs Coordinator. And so my piece to this puzzle is that when your TRP application comes in, I receive it, thanks. I receive it and I'll create the letter that Doug Blandy will sign and get your application and your addendum over to Academic Affairs. It'll be signed off on once they review it, and then we'll send the letter out to you. That's called a letter of agreement. And you'll sign it, and that's when the process begins. The letter of agreement will actually tell you your dates for when the TRP will begin for you, when you actually have to retire, and it is a formal contract. So that's kind of my piece in this. And if you have further questions, if you want to meet with me, I meet with faculty, it's no problem at all, just give me a call. So now that you hear about TRP, I'm going to go into a little bit about, let's see, our retirement resources that we have here on campus. And Ken had said that Ernie used to do this presentation. Ernie was our retirement administrator. He has retired. And what we tried to do, since Ernie's position wasn't going to be refilled, is we created a website that has all the resources you need to actually start thinking about retirement. And also, because when you enter TRP, you're obviously right in that, you're within that 3 years. And so these are some of the things that you're going to need to consider for as you move towards your retirement. So what we created was a retirement checklist, a retirement budget worksheet, and we have a roadmap. So it also, the graphic you probably can't see, but it says, hey, 3 to 5 years, you're painting a picture of what your retirement's going to look like. You hope it's going to look like this. But as you get closer within that 3 years to retirement, you really need to start working your checklist and your budget and talk to a financial advisor. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. I wanted to show you the checklist because it is online, printed out. I almost think that retirement's almost like a class. You have to kind of work the checklist and make sure you're covering all the different issues that we tried to put down here so that you're thinking about everything you need to think about. And the checklist does have links to it, and we recommend that you get a binder together or a folder and you put all your retirement documents in there, and so you have everything that you need. And I really believe it's very helpful, so I would recommend definitely printing that out. This particular one is, there's 15 action items. You won't have to do all of them. It's up to you, and it also depends on, what kind of plan you're on. The next one is for up to 12 months prior to retirement, and it includes similar ones from the first section, but it's really good to actually look at all 3 pages. And then the last page is 3 months prior to retirement. So you're getting things done. You only have half of those things to reconsider again. One of the things that we talk about in the checklist, which is really important, is that PERS educational sessions, they get booked really quick. And also you need to meet with a counselor to actually put your application in for your PERS retirement. And you need to schedule that meeting 6 months before you retire. But they actually won't meet with you until you're 3 months prior to your retirement. So that's a really important item I just wanted to mention. The next resource that we created was a worksheet, a budget worksheet. And I know this isn't a great graphic for you to see from where you're sitting, but it's basically the pieces of the puzzle. How much income are you going to have? What are your expenses going to look like? And then what's your final number? What's your lifestyle going to be? Are you going to travel? What are you going to, what do you see yourself doing in retirement? So this is a really nice resource I'm going to say, resource to use so that you can actually meet with your financial advisor and have that person look and say, yeah, you're on track, or we need to maybe tweak this a little bit or that, or we need to talk about that more. One of the things I did was, we have it in a PDF format, but we also have it in Excel. We haven't put in any calculations. We want to make sure you do that. But so for example, it's on a yearly basis. So every year that you do your TRP appointment, you'll be adding more income in there for those 5 years. Or if you're not going to be working, you'll have to add your expenses in for the benefits, for your health care benefits. So we recommend definitely utilizing that. So now that I talked about those 2 resources, which we're really proud of, and we hope that they're helpful to you as you plan for retirement, the roadmap on the website talks about 5 different steps that you should take. And the first step is to identify your retirement plan and eligibility. Does everybody here know which plan they're on? Pretty much? Some people don't. So we want to make sure that we've given you the resources to figure that out. The second step is to set a target retirement date, and depending on what you find out about your pension and your IEP balances and your income, your date may change after you talk with your financial advisor. But once you start gathering that information, you'll get that date closer to where you want it to be. Create a financial plan, attend educational sessions and workshops. We now have them on campus, as well as we're promoting the PERS educational workshops. I did print something out just to let you know, for those people who are retiring within the next 6 months, there's a workshop, 2 in May, and then they start again in September and October for PERS. And they actually meet at the Lane County Public Works and the state office building, the basement of a Willamette room. But you have to register for them, and they do fill up quickly. So that's all online. You can click on the link on our website, and you can look at the different sessions that PERS has, and we definitely recommend that you start working with them. And the final is create a lifestyle plan. So, and that's also, you think it's going to be easy, but it's a huge transition. So we recommend looking at the books that we have on our resource website and really planning for that side of your retirement. Okay, so step 1 is identify your retirement plan and eligibility. So it depends on when you were hired here at the U of O and if you're at full retirement age. So I have this presentation up on our website, and you can take a look at it. Also, if you're not sure what your plan is, the quickest way to do it as well is if you go into DuckWeb and you look at your pay stub, at the bottom it tells you where the money is going, what plan you're in. So I always think that's the fastest way. But if you were hired after August 28, 2003, you could have joined OPSERP, or you could do the optional retirement plan. And if you're age 65 or age 58 with 30 years of service, you're eligible for full retirement. Okay, set a target retirement date. So I'm going to talk about PERS, and I'll talk about the optional retirement plan, which is a lot easier. PERS is complicated, so that's why it really is some work to get your retirement in order. But it's doable. So if you're a PERS plan member, you need to go online and create an account, or log into your account if you've already done that. And what you're going to do is you're going to generate an online estimate to see what your pension, your monthly pension will be. We also recommend that you request a written estimate, and you can do that. You can get 2 free per year as long as you're within 2 years of retirement. And that's just nice to have that formal piece of paper where they tell you what your estimate will be. And let's see. And so if you have any problems with that, I know Cindy's available, Cindy Peterson in our office, if you do have problems with the online, but we recommend that you try to do it yourself. You can also call PERS if you have any issues logging in. If you are an optional retirement plan member, you just work with your plan representative. You can look at your account statements, you can meet with them and talk about what your distributions are going to look like monthly or how you want to handle that. Everybody feel good about what PERS is and the optional retirement plan? Okay. Okay, so this is a part that gets everybody really confused. And I'm going to go over it slightly, but the next slide talks about the pre-retirement guide for PERS. And we have links online that you can link to, and you can look at your pre-retirement guide and it'll talk about all the specifics of how you want to get your distributions. So if you're PERS Tier 1 or 2, you get to choose from 13 different options for your monthly pension. And so it's really like, which one's the best? And that's why we say, hey, talk to your financial advisor, talk to PERS, they'll be able to help you. Your pension calculation for that monthly pension is based on your age service time, final average salary for the last 3 years, your member account balance, and then also you can ask for a written estimate and also request purchase of waiting time and or forfeited service time. So that has to do with, sometimes it's beneficial for you to actually purchase the 6 months that you waited to get into PERS, and your pension will be higher because of it, and it'll make financial sense for you to do that. Not everybody does it, but people ask about it, and I say, this is as much as I know. You really have to check in with PERS, but it could be financially beneficial to you to do that. The forfeited time is if you left the university and then came back. And so if there were 6 months, that's a possibility for you as well. Everybody has an individual account balance. It's called the IAP distribution, and you can request that in a lump sum, installments over 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. They also have an anticipated lifespan option, which I have no idea about, but kind of makes sense. You can roll it over into another tax-sheltered plan as well. So that's for PERS Tier 1 and 2. And then there's OPSERP, and you don't have as many options, which I always think sometimes it's much nicer. So you only have to choose from 5 different options about how you're going to get your pension distributed to you. It's also calculated on the age, service time, and final average salary. Another thing about the calculation, and I think I talk about this, is your sick time here at the university, once you retire, it's gone. But I believe they use some of that sick time information towards your calculation. So that's, even though you have 2,000 hours of sick time, you think, oh, I lost all of that, but actually that'll help you for your pension. The individual account balance or program for OPSERP looks like it's pretty much the same as Tier 1 and 2. Okay, so here are the pre-retirement guide links. They're like 100 pages each, so definitely, I don't know if you'd want to print them out, but look online. They talk about those 13 different options, 5 options. And start thinking about it and talking to a financial advisor. The optional retirement plan, that's pretty straightforward. If you're with Fidelity, VALIC, or TIAA CREF, you get your account statements. You can talk to your financial advisor about how you want your distributions, if you want them fixed or variable annuity options. So you'll meet with them to talk about filling out that paperwork. Okay. Step 3, create a financial plan. We're really pushing that you have somebody to help you through this process. So it's really important that you meet with a financial advisor. I'll talk about where you can find one if you don't have one right now. You want to work with them and review your PERS estimate and your ORP or ORP account statement or both. They'll assist you in creating a financial and lifestyle plan. They'll guide you through the whole process. And they can also look at your other sources of income that you're not quite sure what to do with those things or how you want them distributed, and they can be really helpful in that regard. They can also make recommendations. How do you increase your savings? When's the best time for you to retire? And they'll look at your budget and say, this looks right on. And how nice is that to feel confident when you go into retirement? So if you don't have a financial advisor, obviously TIAA, CREF, Fidelity, or VALIC would be somebody. If you're in one of those plans, you could work with one of those representatives. Your bank or credit union has a retirement expert that can help you, and you can make an appointment with them. We, as an employee, you can work with Employee Assistance Program. They have experts that can work with you and meet with you. And then also, if you have any friends or family who have retired that would refer somebody to you, that's another way to find somebody that you're going to feel confident and comfortable with. Okay, this is the fun part, the health insurance part. So if you're working and you're Medicare eligible or ineligible, but you're working at the University of Oregon and you're 0.5 or greater, you're going to receive benefits. And so Cindy wanted me to make sure that you contact the benefits office prior to any one of your TRP appointments. And that's just to confirm with them that you're on the list. so that they know, yes, you're going to receive benefits. If you're not working and you're Medicare ineligible, you can look at PEB plans available for retiree and eligible dependents. You can look at the PERS health insurance plans available to PERS retirees. You can also use the Federal Healthcare Exchange, or if your spouse or partner is still working, that's nice because you can be covered that way. I think I missed one. Let's see. Yeah, subsidies may be available for the PERS Health, so you can check their website for that. So if you're not working and you're Medicare eligible and you're a PERS retiree, you can, let's see, you're Medicare eligible, so then you can use their Medicare Supplement and Advantage plans, but you have to be enrolled in Medicare Parts A and B, and the premiums can be deducted from PERS benefit payment or paid directly. If you're non-PERS retiree and eligible for Medicare, you have to purchase plans directly from insurance carriers, and you still have to be enrolled in Parts A. This is the complicated Medicare part. You have to be enrolled in plans Part A and B, and the premiums are paid directly. Okay, so U of O life insurance, as a PEB retiree, you're eligible to continue a percentage of the amount in force as an active employee, and you can link on that link to find out more about that. And then if you're in the long-term care, you're already enrolled, you can convert to a retiree option if you still want to continue that coverage. If you're not enrolled at all and you want to be enrolled in PERS Unum long-term care, you would contact Unum directly. This is really important. SHEBA is the Senior Health Insurance Benefits Assistance Office, and we have a link to that office, and they can help you with all your Medicare questions.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
I'm
go.
not on the speaker, but the health insurance thing is the big pain during those TRP appointment periods, because you're going to come on the UO insurance and then off and then back on and back off.
Yeah.
I think we're working to try to make that be something that's simpler, but it's just a pain.
Yeah, it is, and we want to make sure you're covered when you should be covered, and we just want to solicit your help, and that's why we say call the benefits office just to confirm that they have that information. I receive the payroll action forms when they come in for each TRP appointment, and Cindy and I are trying to work more in tandem so that she's aware of them. Okay, so attend educational sessions. We have PERS sessions on campus, as well as they have them in the Eugene area, they have them in Salem, in Portland, and you can go online and check those out. And then we also, for the optional retirement plan, Fidelity and TIAA-CREF are always here on campus doing their thing, and you can meet with your representative. VALIC, not so much because we don't really use them anymore, but some people, when we did, some people still have VALIC and they can still utilize their financial representatives. And then, of course, the Cascade Employee Assistance Center has retirement sessions and workshops. Okay, create a lifestyle plan, things to consider. Are you going to work after retirement? What are your interests or hobbies going to be? Social opportunities, how often are you going to travel? And what about your wellness, fitness activities? Are you going to volunteer? And I'm sure there's 100 more things we could have written down here, because everybody's different and everybody has a different picture for their retirement. But we really recommend you try to think about everything you want your retirement to look like, and how you want, what those expenses may be to do some of those things that you've always dreamed of doing. And we have some links, books and articles about retirement that we recommend you take a look at. And also the Cascade Employee Assistance Program has that. And so what I'd like to leave you with today is that, definitely plan for your financial and lifestyle goals in retirement. Nobody likes to think about it because it is a lot of work, but it's doable. And if you put that binder together and you start working your checklist, you'll feel more confident going into retirement. Seek advice and assistance from a licensed financial advisor. Utilize the retirement checklist and budget worksheet that we've created. And let us know if you think we missed something. If there's something we can add that you think would be beneficial to other retirees, we'd love to know that. And then also, feel free to contact the benefits office if you have a specific question that you need some help with. Cindy and her staff are there to help you. Okay, that's my part of the presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions that I can.